Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all that good stuff. I'm joined in studio today by Jonathan Boyko.
Oh, that's Rob. Hello, everybody. I'm doing my job.
Spoiler alert, Robert Meyer Burnett is here.
Hello.
And most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show is when we take your comments and questions. There are two different ways to send in a comment or a question or a topic you'd like us to address. The first way is that if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day when we're not actually live, like most people do, you can use our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Or if you are one of the great people in the live chat right now, which we already have like over 1,000 of you here already, you can use the super chat feature in the live chat to send on in your question, and we will get around to answer those in the second part of the show, provided we find your topic or question appropriate to be addressed on the show. If we, for whatever reason, find your question inappropriate, we reserve the right not to address it, of course. All right. With that down, guys, let's get things started off with this, shall we? You know, Superman was a wonderful, wonderful experience for me. I loved the new Superman movie. Totally changed the direction of DC. Just for context, the Superman movie came out. If you want to know how bad DC was by the time Superman came out, Aquaman 2 was the highest grossing DC movie out of their last 9 at $440 million. 60 some odd % less than the first Aquaman did. The next one besides that, the highest grossing one, was Black Adam, which didn't even make 400 million. And then you had a bunch out of their final 9 making 300, 200, 3 of their films made under $200 million. That's how bad it was. Superman came out, made over $600 million, made more than the previous 9 DC films. So they're off to a good start. And of course, at the end of Superman, they tease Supergirl. And now we got Jason Momoa from the aforementioned Aquaman coming back to play Lobo. And it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. I think it's going to be fun. Well, we already got one trailer, but now comes the all-important second trailer. Because James Gunn, as you can see here, jumped on his socials and said, Supergirl, we'll call you back tomorrow. Supergirl lands in theaters on June 26th. Okay. Now, first of all, the reason I say the second trailer is so important is because the first trailer, while you never get a second chance to make a first impression, we talk about this a lot, right? The first trailer is usually just a taste. This is kind of what the tone of the film is. It's more of an announcement tone setter. The second trailer for most movies is the one that kind of gives you, this is what the movie's about. This is what you can expect from this film. So it's going to be a very key, very important trailer to drop. Two interesting things I found in this little announcement, because ahead of this trailer that's now going to come out tomorrow, they released 30 seconds of it today as a little tease, a trailer for a trailer. Drives me nuts, but there it is. But there's two interesting things in this little 30-second clip of the trailer that's coming tomorrow that I thought was really quite eyebrow-raising. The first thing is this. It confirms that Superman is appearing in the film. Now, whether or not what we see in this little tease is the extent of his appearance in it, or whether he'll have a couple of cameos throughout the film, who knows? But we do see David Cornsweet in there tying it into the Superman film. The second thing that I thought was interesting, and this might not mean anything to anybody else, okay? I get it. If it doesn't mean anything to anybody else, I get it. But to me, it was really, really interesting. When Clark calls and leaves a message for Kara, he does not say, it's me, Cal.
Mm-hmm.
He says, it's me, Clark. And while everybody else, I'm sure, is like, who cares? Whatever. Clark, Cal, he's the same guy, right? To me, actually, Rob, that was kind of profound. Because when you get to the end of Superman, throughout Superman, he identifies himself as Kryptonian living on Earth. By the end of the film, he's fully embraced his humanity. Like now, when you refer to his parents, he's not talking about the L's back on Krypton. At the end, when he refers to his parents, he's talking about Ma and Pa Kent. I'm a punk rocker, yes I am. With that, I get emotional at the ending of that movie as he's sitting there and watching the family footage with Ma and Pa Kent, and you got Iggy Pop singing in the background. I literally get emotional at that. And so, to me, when he's calling Kara, who probably always referred to him as Cal, him calling at that point and referring to himself as Clark is just an extension of the end of Superman, of him fully embracing his, I don't want to say humanity, but his Earth residence, that Earth is home. You know, when people ask me where I'm from, I say Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, the Hammer, greatest city in the world. That's home. But I wasn't born there. I was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And at some point, I remember, I would always tell people I'm from Halifax, I live in Hamilton, but at some point, Hamilton became what I identified with. Hamilton is my home. And I stopped telling people I was from Halifax, even though that was where I was born, and I was from Hamilton. So, I mean, look, that's me looking a lot into a 30-second clip from a trailer that comes out tomorrow, but I thought that was rather deep, and I liked what I saw there. Anyway, Rob, getting the new Supergirl trailer tomorrow. James Gunn dropped 30 seconds of it today. What are you hoping to see in this trailer tomorrow? And what do you think of the strategy of them dropping 30 seconds of it today?
Well, like you, I mean, just to answer the last question first, the teaser for the teaser for the trailer is annoying. I mean, I understand why they do it. You know, it's all about hype anyway. I'd much prefer, don't tell me, just show me the trailer. So that, like you, I get annoyed by that. But I'm looking forward to this film, you know, to know that they were adapting the Tom King story. I really like Millie Alcott as Supergirl. I think she's got an interesting attitude. I think she's fun. We, of course, fell in love with her on House of the Dragon. And again, I'm curious because James Gunn has said that the DC universe is going to be driven by great scripts, and that this was the first thing they decided to make after Superman. And Superman was the first original thing. I mean, obviously Peacemaker was brought through, but and then you had Creature Commandos, but Superman was the first live action DC Universe movie. This is the second. So I'm really curious to see what kind of a movie. Like I wasn't blown away by the first teaser, but I liked it. I was intrigued. I'm like, this is intriguing. I mean, I want to, knowing what the story is, having read that comic run, I'm like, I can't wait to see this. And I'm quite frankly, I'm looking forward to it. You know, now we've heard, there's online chatter about test screenings and they're on to their third composer and all.
Never true.
But the thing is, movies are an iterative process. And until you have a finished film that you can watch, I don't believe anything. Because I've seen movies that were not in great shape in production. And then when you finally see them when they're finished, it's like, wow, that's really good.
They really turned it around.
Yeah, they really turned it around. It's a process. So I'm really curious to see what this next trailer has in store. I'm looking forward to this movie. And while there's people out there screaming, oh, Burnett's a DC shill. I feel this way about pretty much every movie. Until I see it. Movies are so hard to make that I'm more interested. I am predisposed to wanting to like a movie. I am a movies to lose. So there's what's not to like.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you're just a miserable person if you want, not finding a movie bad, but I just think you're a miserable person if you want a movie to be bad.
Dude, we're going to see a live action Lobo.
Oh, man, yeah.
Come on.
I mean, look, and the movie might end up being bad. It very well could. Of course it could. It could absolutely end up being bad. And I'm with you. I thought the first trailer was decent. I thought it didn't super move the needle for me.
Right.
Very much. I'm hoping for a little more from this trailer. So we'll see what we're going to get. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We're getting a brand new Supergirl trailer tomorrow. By the way, we're also getting a Masters of the Universe trailer tomorrow, too.
Ooh.
Big day for trailers tomorrow. But what do you think of them announcing it with this 30 little seconds? Do you think they spoiled Superman's appearance in it? Although we all knew Superman was going to make an appearance in it at least at some point. And what are you hoping to see in the trailer tomorrow? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on and talk about this, shall we? You know, obviously, we discussed it last week. The first full trailer for the upcoming HBO Harry Potter series that comes out later this year dropped. And I'll tell you what, I thought it was utterly fantastic. Like, I'm not a Potterhead. I like the Harry Potter movies fine enough, but I'm definitely not a Potterhead. Never read the books, never plan to. And, you know, I talked to one, I said last week, I talked to one big fan, but the biggest Harry Potter fan I know is, of course, our friend Cody Miller, who is going to be joining us in Vegas, by the way.
I heard from him and he said that, yes.
Yep, he's going to be joining us again this year in CinemaCon. Of course,
one of the most fun people ever to hang out with.
Super fun dude to hang out with. Of course, Olympic gold medalist and all that kind of stuff. But he is by far bigger than my own wife, the biggest Harry Potter fan I've ever met. Now, just so you know, they had a room at their house in Indiana, him and his wife, Allie, that totally dedicated to all Harry Potter stuff. They had a Harry Potter themed wedding. And when I had an extra ticket to go see an advanced IMAX screening, industry screening of the second or third, the second Fantastic Beasts movie, and had to go out of town for work, and I had an extra ticket. This guy literally said, I will get on a plane tonight and fly from Indiana to Los Angeles to come with you to this screening. I'm like, dude, do it. He did. He got on a plane, flew across. Anyway, I talked to him about it. I'm like, dude, I got to ask, what do you think about the Harry Potter trailer? Because I don't know anybody who's a bigger fan of the movies than this guy or the books. And he just was out of his mind. He loved it. He said, this is going to give us something that the movies just never could. And I think what he meant by that is because you're getting a full season for every book.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was utterly fantastic. Not everybody felt that way, but that's the subjectivity of art. Totally fair. I didn't realize just how big that trailer was. Because there's been some debate about, is Harry Potter's time over? Are people not that enamored with it anymore? And blah, blah, blah. Well, numbers, my friend, as they say, don't lie. Because according to the Hollywood Reporter, the Harry Potter trailer passed 277 million views, becoming the most watched HBO or HBO Max trailer in history. More than Penguin, more than House of the Dragon, more than Game of Thrones, more than Euphoria, Last of Us, more than, as a matter of fact, this number, to put this into perspective, this number is so big.
How big is
that
it?
If this were a movie, it got more views than the first Avengers Endgame trailer.
Yeah,
it would sit
crazy.
at number 6, I believe, on the all-time movie trailer viewed list if this were a movie and not a television series. Now, let's be clear, does that mean, oh, then the series must be great? Oh, not at all. It doesn't tell us anything about the quality of the series. We'll find out when we watch the series. But what it does tell us is that anybody who tells you that interest in Harry Potter has waned doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. Now, again, doesn't mean the show's going to be good. Maybe it will be. I think it's going to be insanely good. Or maybe it won't be. But what it does tell us, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that interest is absolutely there. People are very intrigued by this, and whether they're happy with the trailer, not happy with the trailer, what have you, the colors weren't bright enough. Oh, please. Anyway, I thought it was great, but that's just me. It's an art. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. That's all cool. But I couldn't believe those numbers when you're talking about, like, you're putting this up against some of the most iconic series ever in the social media era. And for it to get more trailer views than Endgame did, at least trailer 1, it just says, again, beyond a shadow of a doubt, positively or negatively, people are intrigued by this Harry Potter, and I cannot wait to see this. Anyway, Rob, you saw these numbers, surprised, not surprised, and what message, if any, do you take away from the numbers we're seeing?
Oh, well, I'm not surprised by this at all. I mean, Harry Potter is a generational tsunami of both nostalgia and interest. So what I was interested, I saw Daniel Radcliffe talk about this. I saw a clip this morning when he said, since I've been Harry Potter, there's been 3 Spider-Men. And he said,
I love Daniel Radcliffe.
I love him too. And he flat out said, he goes, I think it's terrific that Harry Potter is being reinvented. And he said, I especially love the fact that I don't have to show my kids Harry Potter that their dad is in. And I'm like, what an interesting, like, he was very circumspect about it, and what a great take. But when he said 3 Spider-Men, I'm like, well, there's your argument right there. Why not reinvent? Look, I love the idea. I'm a big proponent of, if you're going to adapt a book series in our current environment, take the time and do a book a season. That's what Reacher's doing.
Yeah.
To book a season. The book certainly has enough material. I think it's easier to take a book and make a 10-episode series of TV out of it than it is to turn it into a 2-hour, 2.5-hour movie. And like Cody would tell you, those Harry Potter books are rich with secondary characters and things, and you don't have to rush through all of these moments in the books that people remember. You have time to let it breathe, and you can really do. I mean, you think about any great HBO show, whether it was The Sopranos, whether it's The Wire, whether it was Rome, whether it's Game of Thrones, how rich Game of Thrones, book a season, kind of, how rich those series are going to be. And if you're going to have that kind of a fulfilling experience over the course of 10 episodes, what's not to love?
How much does this look like their mixtape cover?
It looks like an album from 1986.
Do you know what? I think that's going to be the feeling until you've seen the first episode.
Yeah, but you know what?
I like it, though. I'm just saying.
I was actually taken, because look, we've seen pictures of the kids who they cast to be in the new Harry Potter. Fine. But when we saw the trailer and we actually saw the kid playing Harry Potter as Harry Potter, I was actually taken aback. I'm like, almost more so than the first time I saw Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter. I was like, this kid is Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like he literally looks like Harry Potter. The way it's been told to me is like literally jumped off the page. And I'm not saying the kid's going to be a better Harry Potter than Daniel Radcliffe. I mean, maybe you will, maybe you won't. But I'm just saying I was kind of taken aback by, wow. And I told you the one friend of mine who's a massive, massive Harry Potter fan said, look, again, he loves the movies, but he said, watching that trailer, it felt like the story jumping off the page of the books onto a screen. And it's going to be interesting. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about, these are insane numbers for the new Harry Potter. Again, doesn't mean it's going to be good, doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It just means that people are actually very intrigued and interested by it. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
Let me just read these puns real quick from our audience. We got Straight Out of Hogwarts, Wizards with Attitude,
The album cover.
Ron DMC.
Oh, I love, that's my favorite.
Well, there's also, I lost it, but Bone Thugs and Hermione.
Bravo. Bravo.
All right. With that down, guys, I never get tired of those. Let's move on to this. Some of you guys may know that there is a new iteration of Tomb Raider coming. This time coming to Amazon as a series. Now, listen, Amazon has been killing it with their television stuff, like between Fallout, The Boys. I mean, you go all the way back to Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is one of the best things they've done. That show was insane if you've never watched it. It's really, really good. Anyway, they've been doing great work. And of course, we've got God of War coming, which I'm very stoked about. But they've also got a Tomb Raider coming. And it's got former Game of Thrones alum, Sophie Turner, going to be starring in it. And production had started, they were rolling. But you may have seen some headlines saying they've stopped production. This comes us from the folks at Screen Rant writing. Now, Amazon MGM Studios has shared a statement with Entertainment Weekly that Sophie Turner recently experienced a minor injury. I've heard some people say it isn't that minor, but has experienced a minor injury. As a precaution, production has been briefly paused to allow her time to recover. We look forward to resuming production as soon as possible. Now, normally what happens when an actor, we saw this not too long ago with a movie, with one of the Indiana Jones films that Harrison Ford was doing when he crashed his plane. What they do then is they rearrange the shooting schedule. Because obviously the lead actor is not in every scene of everything. So what they do is they keep production moving because time is money. And they rearrange what shoots, and they shoot all their B stuff. They'll shoot scenes without the main actor, blah, blah. But this one's interesting. Like with Sophie Turner, they actually have decided just to stop production altogether. Now, the exact details of her injury have not been shared anywhere.
Merely a flesh wound.
It's just a flesh wound. As an individual person, that's private. I mean, we shouldn't have to. I mean, if they want to release it, great. If not, no skin off our nose, like it's none of our business or personal health. So it's going to be interesting to see how long this thing's going to be held up. Here's the other thing, though. Because of the fact that a lot of other productions, if a lead actor goes down, they just shoot around it. It does raise a couple of questions for me. Number one, how much is she in it? Like, is she in so much? Is she in almost every scene to the point that you just can't shoot other stuff without her? I mean, that's a possibility. Most shows, that's not the case, whether you're watching Monarch or Shrinking or anything like that. Yeah, if one of the lead actors goes down, you can shoot around. So I'm like, well, how much is this like, is she always on camera? The second possibility to me is that she's injured enough, like I'm sure nothing's life-threatening, but she's injured enough that this isn't going to be all that brief of a pause. Like, I mean, if she's out of commission for a month or 2 months, then no amount of rearranging shooting schedules is going to make up for that. So you might as well just put on the brakes, let everybody go, do some other things. So my thought is, and again, this is just me as a fan speculating, just like every other fan, is that it's one of two things. This show is very heavily reliant on her, that you just can't shoot around her. Or number two, the injury's enough that they're going to be down long enough that there's no point in trying to rearrange shooting schedules. You're going to run into the roadblock anyway. It also raises another thing for me. Look, I don't like to be negative, but one of the reasons I'm really curious about this show is to kind of figure out how I feel about Sophie Turner as an actress. Because again, I'm just being honest here. I really liked her in Game of Thrones, but that was the only thing I'd ever seen her in. I have not been particularly enamored with her performances in anything else I've seen her in since. Now, I'm not at the point that I'm at with Dakota Johnson, who I defended Dakota Johnson for a long time, right? It's like people say this, that, and the other thing, but I'm like, guys, if you have seen Peanut Butter Falcon, you know she can be really great. But after seeing her in bad performance after bad performance after bad performance, I'm like, finally, after what's that one she just did with Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans?
Materialist.
The Materialist. After The Materialist, I just went, like, even after Madam Web, I'm like, yeah, she wasn't good in that, but I think a lot of that had to do with just the story was bad, the direction was bad. But then after I saw that, and then I saw The Minimalist, I'm like, I think I just have to accept the fact that I just don't think Dakota Johnson's a very good actress. I'm hoping in the future she can change my mind, but that's where I'm at. I'm not at that point with Sophie Turner yet, but I am very curious to see how well she can actually carry this show. Anyway, Rob, you've read about this. They've stopped production on for now. Do you think this will be much ado about nothing? Do you think there might be like more to this? I don't know. How do you see it?
Well, first of all, I hope she's okay.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah. Main thing.
And I look, I hope she's okay. But whenever they stop production, like, she is the titular character, so they probably don't have a lot of extra stuff to shoot or whatever, or maybe they're on location or something. And they had, I mean, to stop is serious because, you're losing money every day, and then you have to make an insurance claim, and there's a lot of rigmarole. To pull the plug on a production is not something they do willy-nilly. So I would imagine it's pretty somewhat serious. But I'm sure, people do. It is that kind of movie where there's a lot of physical activity. I think there's probably a lot
At least
demanded
we
of
hope
her.
it is.
And I think there's things like we saw, like Tom Holland was out for a week on Spider-Man or whatever. And I think that they did the right thing. You don't want to take chances. If people get at all injured when they're doing something physical for a movie, they should stop and let people recover. You don't want injuries to get worse because that could be problematic in the long run.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good, smart thing that they've done. I don't know if it's much ado about nothing. It's an inconvenience, and certainly it's an issue of money and insurance and all that, but I just hope she's okay.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, they have stopped production on the new Tomb Raider, waiting for Sophie Turner to recover from an injury. I mean, how minor is it? Could it be a little bit bigger? Are you looking forward to the series? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, my favorite film, not only of 2026, but probably would have also been my favorite film of 2025, Project Hail Mary. I've always been excited about it, but I've also always been worried about its box office future. We've talked about this for a long time, Rob. It doesn't have that 4-quadrant appeal. It's not really for everybody. Not everybody has read the book, all that kind of stuff. Well, we of course know that last week it opened up to double what its originally projected opening weekend was, made over $80 million. And Rob, last week you and I said that we think word of mouth for this movie is so good that the normal, what you'd want to see second weekend drop between 50 and 60%, that's normal. We thought it'd be less than that. And it would be maybe in the 40s, maybe even the low 40s. Well, get this. The second weekend of Project Hail Mary just lost 32%. Not the 50 to 60, not the hopefully 40s, which is what we were hoping for, but 32%. It made $54 million on its second weekend, which is more than it was originally projected to make on its opening weekend.
Yeah.
And as of right now, Project Hail Mary is sitting after just its second weekend, 10 days in theaters, $300 million. And that's a significant milestone for it because, as according to this article in TechCrunch, that makes it the highest grossing movie for Amazon Studios of all time. And you might think, 300 million? Well, yeah. I mean, Amazon is not Warner Brothers. They're not Disney. They're not Sony. They're not Paramount. They haven't had 100 years of putting out films. But this is where it puts Project Hail Mary for them on their scale. The Accountant is the 5th largest they've ever had. The 2025 one, The Accountant 2, made 102 million. The Beekeeper, the Jason Statham film, made 162 million. Red One, its global box office was 185.9.
A level 4 naughty lister?
Oh I didn't know you had that one there.
I've been sitting on
ready
that
to
one
go.
for months.
So I've been waiting for months. Someday this sound clip is going to be relevant. And then what was their number one grossing film of all time, Creed 3, made $276 million. And now after 10 days, Project Hail Mary becomes the highest grossing Amazon MGM combined studio release at $300 million. Now look, that record does not mean that this film is now a financial success, because from what we understand, the production budget was about 200 million. And they sunk a very healthy marketing budget into it. We believe, last I heard, it was around, they put $100 million into the marketing of it. Now, if you go by the general break-even formula, generally speaking, it's give or take, but generally speaking, if you want a ballpark idea of how to figure out what a movie needs to make to break even, it's production budget plus marketing budget multiplied by 1.5. There are people out there say production budget times 3. That's no. I mean, that won't get you far off, but that's not the formula. The formula is production budget plus marketing budget multiplied by 1.5. That gives you a general ballpark. Using that formula, Project Hail Mary needs to make $450 million to break even. So it's still a ways away from that. Now, I think it'll cross that. I think it'll become profitable. But still, this was a much needed win for Amazon Studios to really see that it can play with the big boys, that it can have these types of results. So, and you know what? I don't see it slowing down a lot. Of course, we got Mario Brothers opening this week. That'll take out some of the families going, but I know a lot of adults that are still planning to go back to watch Project Hail Mary a second, third, in mine and Ann's case, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh time. So it'll be interesting to see, but crossing that $300 million mark is significant for it. Rob, you see these numbers, good, bad. What do you see for its upcoming few weeks? What do you think?
This is an original film, not based on another IP. I think it's doing phenomenally well. It's doing well foreign. I could see, this is just the beginning of its journey. I read something that said it was going to top out at like 275 million domestic, but I think this movie's going to have staying power. I think that something that is not to be underestimated is the state of the world today. Between what our inflation is going on, we have a war that we're fighting. There's not a lot of hope, where America is going at this point in time. And I think that this film is offering people a respite from that. They're going in and they're seeing this. It's putting a smile on their face. It's showing the possibilities. What friendship can do to the universe. And I think it's exactly the kind of movie we need for today. So it wouldn't surprise me to see this continue to make money and make a lot more, to see it overperform, whatever that means in this day and age. But I could see this, going further than any man has ever gone.
It's interesting too, seeing the numbers like Amazon, which is truly still getting its feet under it as a studio, at $300 million being the biggest that they've ever done, which is interesting. So it's going to be 10 days, $300 million. Listen, if you'd asked me 3 months ago, I would have thought that was really good. So we'll see what kind of staying power it has after Mario Brothers, which is a potential $1 billion film.
Yep.
Comes out this week, and we'll see where they go. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Project Hail Mary is now, first of all, took a ridiculously small second weekend drop. That is crazy, making more money in its second weekend than it was projected to make in its first weekend. But more significantly, it's become the highest grossing film for the studio ever. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to our headline story today, shall we? That is this.
Oh.
Last week, we discussed the fact that Jumanji made the probably wise move of moving off its December 11th release date, which was just 1 week before Doomsday, when Avengers Doomsday and Dune 3 were coming out, and decided to leapfrog it all the way to December 25th, Christmas Day, to come out a week after it. Now, the reason I thought that was kind of a wise move is that while it would have had a bigger opening weekend had it opened on December 11th than on December 25th, because you're going to run into the second weeks of both Doomsday and Dune 3, the reality is you might have had a bigger opening weekend on the 11th, but then your box office run is killed on the 18th, like done, because you've got Doomsday and Dune 3 coming out. Whereas if you open on the 25th, your opening weekend's going to suffer, but your weekends 2, 3, and 4 have much better chance than they would if they ran into the brick wall known as Doomsday.
And I think that first week, because of Christmas, still edges them.
And you've got that is the number one movie going day of the year is Christmas Day.
They got it on margins.
Fact. So now the other interesting bit of information we've been talking about the last few weeks is the fact that in the battle of IMAX, because every movie wants to get the IMAX screens, Dune 3 was getting all the IMAX screens. Avengers Doomsday was not going to get any IMAX screens. Dune 3 secured a 3-week exclusive run on IMAX. So in my best soup Nazi voice, no IMAX for you. when it comes to Avengers Doomsday. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Last week, there was an article in The Wrap that speculated, it wasn't a report, it was speculation, that with Jumanji, which had the IMAX contract for December 18th to December 17th, with them moving off that December 11th date, that maybe perhaps Avengers Doomsday may move off the December 18th date and move ahead a week to come out a week earlier, and for 1 week get those delicious IMAX dollars, because then it would have a week to it all to itself before Dune 3 takes them over on December 18th. Then late last night, or early this morning, depending on where in the world you live, a Big Picture podcast came out, and they were also talking about that. So me being me, I do what I often do. I send out a couple emails, feelers, to some people who I know are connected in these things. Now, I send out these feelers all the time, but because I'm a loser YouTube nobody who does videos in my garage, 9 times out of 10, nobody responds to me. But it's that 1 time out of 10 they did. So I did get a response from somebody involved in exhibitor relations. When I said, hey, they're speculating, is there any truth to this? What this source told me was the very non-committal discussions have taken place. So does that mean that Doomsday is in fact moving? No, you can hardly call that a confirmation. But we can confirm that it's being talked about, or has been talked about, and maybe it's already locked, all we know. Bottom line is, we could see Avengers Doomsday moving off that December 18th date with Dune 3 and moving up a week, coming out 1 week earlier on December 18th, taking over the spot that's been abandoned by Jumanji. Why would they do that? For the IMAX screens. Because as of right now, Avengers Doomsday gets no IMAX. And Rob, we talked last week about the fact that, listen, Doomsday may not happen, but if it doesn't happen, it will not be because Dune 3 moves. Dune 3 is not moving. It's got that IMAX. 3 weeks
of it to happen, John.
Oh, I know, me too. But if one of them was going to move, it was going to be Avengers, right? We all knew that. If one of them moves, not that one of them will, but if one of them does, it's absolutely going to be Avengers that moves, because Dune 3 ain't going anywhere with 3 weeks of exclusive IMAX under its belt. It's staying right where it is. Still didn't think Avengers would move, because I want Doomsday like everybody else.
I do too.
But you know what, Rob? Again, this is me making a guess as a fan, just like everybody else. This is me making my guess. Avengers is going to move. It just makes too much sense.
I actually like the idea.
Yeah, you know what? If I'm somebody, which, the world should be grateful I'm not, but if I was somebody in the hallowed halls of Disney's executive offices, I would be recommending, like, while I want Doomsday, the smart move is to move it up. There are a couple of advantages. Number one, you're not opening on the same day as one of the other most anticipated films of the year.
Same audience.
A lot of the same audience. I mean, you can make the argument that there's going to be people who are really into something like Dune that may not be into comic book films, but there's a lot of crossover. So you're going to get your opening weekend, which was already going to be massive on the 18th, will be even bigger if you move it to the 11th. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody acknowledges that, right? Like, none of us are in denial about that. We want Doomsday, but if they open Avengers on the 11th instead of the 18th, it's going to have a bigger opening weekend than it already would have had on the 18th.
We talked about this before the show. It's like you basically could still get Doomsday. I mean,
I was building up to that.
Okay, yeah.
Which is, if you're a fan, we still can have our own version of Doomsday.
Sure.
Like, I'm going to go see Avengers Doomsday whenever it opens.
Yeah.
But you bet your ass that on December 18th, whether Avengers has already come out or not, I'm doing a double header on December 18th.
It's its second weekend.
See Doomsday, and I'm still having Doomsday.
Hey, this actually could boost Doomsday's second weekend because of the double billing.
Yeah, no, it absolutely could. Again, Do I want it to stay Doomsday and have them both come out on the 18th? Yes. Will they both do great even if they open on the same day? Yes. But practically speaking, opening Avengers on the 11th, Dune on the 18th, Jumanji on the 25th. Hate to say it, but it's probably best for everybody if it happens. And again, the biggest carrot in all this for Disney is today we have no IMAX screenings. We move to the 11th. We have a whole week of IMAX screenings and all that delicious extra money that comes in as a result of it. So, Rob, I think this is going to happen, and it makes me a little sad. But at the end of the day, it's probably the smart move. So, a couple questions for you. One, do you think this will happen? Two, is it a smart move or not a smart move? And then three, as an individual fan, would you rather see it this way and have these weekends all to themselves, or would you rather have Doomsday?
Well, to answer your question, Sean, I think as it ain't show fans or show friends, it's show business. Now, the one thing about Dune and Doomsday is both of these films are long. It wouldn't be surprising to me if Dune is close to 3 hours, and I am sure Doomsday is probably going to be at 3 hours, if not over 3 hours. So the fact that you are no longer competing for your opening weekend, I mean, this is the most expensive movie that Disney has ever made, that Marvel's ever made. They have to justify this. If you're opening up against Dune, yeah, the audience turns out, but with 2 3-hour movies, that's going to be tough. They want to set a world record. I am sure they're thinking about, and with a 3-hour movie, they've got a free weekend. They can open it. They can play it 24/7, 7 days a week in IMAX theaters. They can fill up every screen at the ArcLight, even though there was no more ArcLight. But they could do that. They can make the splash that they need to make. They have to make. So I think that from my fan perspective, I'm like, oh, no. I want the posters and all that. But like you said, we can still do that. It just happens a week later,
One week later.
I mean, Barbenheimer wasn't contingent on necessarily a day. It became an event that lasted all summer long.
It did.
So Doomsday can take us through the holiday season. But I do think that it's a smart move business-wise for Disney, for Marvel, and for this movie. Because it's going to have a much bigger opening weekend.
Yeah.
No competition, and they need that. Someone's going to need the new president or the new leader at Disney is going to be able to call his shareholders up and go, guess how much money we made this weekend.
I wonder how much
All
influence
of it.
there was there.
What's that?
I wonder, going off what you said, how much influence there was there with the new CEO.
There could be, but I think as soon as Jumanji moved,
That changed the landscape.
Yeah.
The rules
Yeah.
of the game changed once Jumanji moved off the
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why wouldn't you take advantage of it? It's just, it is only good business. There is no downside. I mean, we as fans, look, they're not going after the fans. We're there. We're showing up. They have to go after every single person in the movie-going audience. The Avengers franchise, they're coming off of their most successful film ever, and this movie costs more than Endgame. So it's a great move business-wise. And by the way, they haven't done it yet.
Right.
So
it might not.
We may very well still get Doomsday. Maybe Avengers doesn't move. That's 100%. As of right now, they're both still coming out on
John,
the 18th.
we will know at CinemaCon what they have chosen to do.
Less than 3 weeks
Less
from
than
now.
3 weeks from now, we are going to have our answer. And I wouldn't be surprised if they open up the Disney presentation, because why not open it up or wait till whatever they're going to do?
It's a 2-hour presentation this year, by the way.
Yeah, and they are going
2-hour
to,
Disney
and
presentation.
you think that the theater owners aren't going to love the fact that they have more time. They themselves said, can't you spread out the wealth?
Yeah, spread it out a little bit.
They will be ecstatic. But by the way, let me throw this out there too.
It's going to help the
And
fourth.
now you've got 3 weeks of December opening banger
It's
after
going to help.
banger.
It's going to help the fourth quarter for
Oh my
theaters. for
God.
sure.
But I'm glad you brought up the third movie in this equation, which is Jumanji, right? Let's not forget, Jumanji is very close to being $1 billion franchise.
Yes.
The first one came very close to making $1 billion. The second one made a hell of a lot of money. It's a big film. Like, make no mistake about it. But this all adds another interesting wrinkle that we didn't really talk about. When Jumanji announced that they were moving the release date from the 11th to the 25th, we talked in terms of, does it make more sense for it to have a big opening weekend and then get killed in its second weekend, or have a more compromised opening weekend, but a clear path ahead into weeks 2, 3, and 4. But what we didn't talk about is the other thing that Jumanji sacrificed. Jumanji now gets no IMAX.
Right.
Because Jumanji was going to have 1 week of IMAX from the 11th to the 17th. By moving to the 25th, don't forget, guys, Dune 3 has exclusive IMAX rights for 3 weeks. That means no IMAX for Jumanji. So that adds a little bit more of intrigue, I guess, to their decision and how tough a decision must have been. Because to me, it's pretty clear. It makes more sense to open after Doomsday. But the fact that you also have to give up the IMAX screens, that makes it a little closer of a decision, I think.
It sweetens the deal, though, because now you're working with Doomsday's, I have to remember how to say these words, Doomsday's third week, as opposed to its second week now, and only Dune's second week. So it sweetens it a little bit.
And let's face it, both Dune 3 and Doomsday are apocalyptic universe-ending movies.
Yeah.
and where a lot of people are gonna die in both of these movies. Planets, whole civilizations are gonna die. How the universe is gonna die. And Jumanji, which opens on Christmas, is happy fun for the whole family.
Yeah,
Dude's playing
so
video
that's a
games.
really good point.
I mean, so after you've seen 2 universes shake, rattle, and roll, you get to go see some fun Jumanji in-universe action.
By the way, just going back to something you brought up a little bit earlier. So Avengers Doomsday is not, I found this out, going to be the most expensive movie Disney has ever made. It will not be as expensive as Avatar Fire and Ash.
Oh,
But
okay.
it will be the most expensive Marvel movie
Interesting.
ever made. I found out, which is still very expensive because Avatar Fire and Ash was way over budget. But being that as it is. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The idea has been floated around out there. I've been told that it has been discussed that Avengers Doomsday may move off that December 18th date to the old Jumanji date on December 11th and get what it never had, an IMAX release. Do you think it'll happen? Do you think it'd be a good idea, bad idea? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that all down, it's now time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your topics and questions that you guys have sent in. But before we do, we need to bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
You will talk to me tomorrow.
All right, to start packing the bag for CinemaCon, man.
I'm ready, dude. I'm ready.
20 days away from leaving for CinemaCon.
I can't
Less than
wait.
no, we are 13 days away from leaving. For
Huzzah.
CinemaCon. Dear heavens. Anyway, all right, guys. That all down, let's get over to your questions, shall we? We're going to start off with the tippling questions people sent in. So, Jonathan, what we got up first?
Brandon Salad, hey crew, regarding the Daniel's next project, Daniel Kwan mentioned they're planning it to be a large-scale sci-fi action event filmed for IMAX. Collider interviewed him, can't wait.
Yeah, he announced that. They said that in previous interviews as well. So it's going to be, again, great time to be Ryan Gosling. You got Project Hail Mary, which is one of the best films I've seen in a while. We're going to have that Star Wars Starfighter, which I'm thinking is going to be great. This is the first time I've been really excited for a Star Wars movie in a while. And then he's going to have this new one with the movie directed by the Daniels, who the last film they directed just like won all the Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Directors, Best Lead Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Screenplay. I mean, it just swept up. And that's the next people he gets to work with. So it's a good time to be him right now.
Then we got Alejandro says, hi, John. Saw a video about what makes a good adaptation. He says the best adaptations capture the spirit of source material, but also makes changes when needed for the new medium. Made me even more excited for Cosmere movie show.
Yeah, of course, the Cosmere is the dual fantasy things by the writer.
Mistborn.
Mistborn, and what's the other one called? The main one there. You guys in the live chat know the books we're talking about. Yeah, well, listen, I've said that forever. That, you know, the job of filmmakers and shows, their job is not to make it as accurate as possible to the source material, because the source material for a book or something like that is made for a static printed page. That does not play necessarily as well on the printed page as it may be in Stormlight Archive. That's what the name of the other series was. Thank you guys in the live chat. Is not necessarily, that's the job. You have to adapt it because it'll play differently on a screen in real time than it does on a printed page. And so that's why I'm all for movies and whatever taking liberties and making changes, because you need that a lot of the time to make it a better movie or a better show, what have you. And so, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that all kind of plays out. Now, I never read the Mistborn stuff or Stormlight Archive, but I am very curious. I know a lot of people love these things, so I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with it. All right, what's next?
Paul says, hey, John, I recently wrote in about a bad experience with Project Hail Mary with the theater with the black mark in the middle of the
Oh, I
screen.
remember that, yeah.
I'm happy to report that I've seen it on a larger screen at the different theater, and it was awesome.
Oh, I'm glad to hear your experience. Again, that one is really confusing me because it's not like, we didn't know that screen had a big black mark going down it. Like that's just inexcusable. You like if you've got a screen, hey, things get damaged. But if you have a screen that is like that and is going to hinder the movie going experience for your audience, you close that theater until you get it fixed. Like that's not acceptable.
No.
I don't know which movie theater that happened in for you, but that was absolutely unacceptable. And I hope they fix that problem.
Then we got
All right, what's next?
Then we got William, who says, John, speaking of the end of Oak Street in 1997, the new Outer Limits had an episode called Feasibility Study, which was basically the same thing, and it's great. Rob was right.
Yeah, I've never saw that one myself, but my goodness, the end of Oak Street trailer that came out last week, for those who don't know what we're talking about, new Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor movie, which I didn't know what it was going to be about. Turns out it's about a neighborhood that travels through time and goes back to the age of dinosaurs. And it's like, what? It felt, you know what it felt like? I didn't say this at the time. It felt very Spielbergian.
Yeah, because J.J. Abrams has often takes like, his inspiration
he says,
from that.
J.J. has often said that Spielberg is his hero, and he
Spielberg
tries to
with lens
emulate-
flares.
But it felt very Spielbergian.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that trailer.
And I
I'm
got some
actually
M.
now-
Night in that trailer.
Yeah,
A little bit.
I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to see it. All right,
We
what's
got
next?
Jai, who says, I love Metroid, but I'm with John on this. They won't make a movie unless they make it for pennies. It won't make money. Detective Pikachu lost money. Metroid's odds are even worse. And on a personal level, I enjoyed playing Metroid more than watching it.
Yeah, so that's been a discussion that's been up a lot since the Mario Brothers movie came out and did so well. It was like, well, now they can do all these movies. It's like the problem that I said, like once the first Mario movie came out, was that Nintendo only has one Mario Brothers. It's not like they have 7 other properties that are all on the same level as Mario Brothers in terms of generational fandom. And I've always said that the only thing they have that comes close is Zelda. Metroid, a lot of the other things, they just don't have that multi-generational faithful fandom that a Mario does or even a Zelda does. And by the way, I don't think Pikachu lost money. I don't think Detective Pikachu lost money. But it also didn't make, I remember a lot of people swearing up, John, you just don't understand how popular Pokemon is. No, I understand how popular Pokemon is, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make $1 billion at the box office. And sure enough, it didn't. But I don't
450.
I don't think it lost money.
I
think it made a little bit of money. Just wasn't the global phenom that a lot of people thought it was going to be.
Unfortunately.
By the way, I liked the movie
I did too.
I liked Detective
enjoyed
Pikachu.
it. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Captain Deadpool says, hey, John, really anticipating Doomsday later this year. With that in mind, Dune 3 being the end of Denis' trilogy, do you think that eventually he would or even another director would try to adapt or interpret the rest of Frank Herbert's Dune series? Kind of goes downhill.
Okay,
man.
well, look, let's put it this way. I have never believed Dune. I remember when the first movie was coming out and people were saying it was going to be $1 billion film. Like, it's just not. Dune itself is not a story that's for everybody. It's not going to be $1 billion film. Let's say that Dune 3 is $1 billion film, which I do not think it will be. I think it'll make a lot of money, but I don't think it's going to be $1 billion film. But if it does, it creates a problem for the people of Warner Brothers. Because how do you not do another film if that one makes $1 billion? But on the other side of the coin, and I know some people get mad at me for saying this, but I'm sorry. The Dune books get progressively worse and worse. As somebody who loves the first book, those books get worse and worse and worse, which is part of the reason why I'm a little bit nervous about this one. Because, pardon me, Dune 1 and 2 are both based on the first book. This one is based on the inferior Dune Messiah book. Now, Denis is going to make a lot of changes and whatever, but I think Denis is going to end this like the end of the franchise. I think he's going to treat this film as the end of the tale, the epic journey's conclusion. And no, I don't think Denis is ever going to come back to it. I think this is it. This is the third film. I think that'll be it. If it makes over $1 billion, yeah, the studio's going to have to consider bringing on another director and doing Children of Dune, although I think there's going to be elements of Children of Dune wrapped into this one as well. But I think this will be it for the movie version. If there's anything else they'll do, it'll be prequel stuff that they do in television series. That's my guess. Could be wrong, but that's my guess. All right, what's next?
Arnoff says, is Tom Holland likely to do this next trilogy for Spider-Man? Is it confirmed that he's doing it? As I see people say, he looks like he wants this to be his last film for the solo movies. By the way, he's speaking.
Yeah, but they said that after the second film, and they said that after the third film.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember Tom Holland saying, it might just be time for me to hang it up and let the next actor come in and take. And then we got another one with him. Is it confirmed he's doing more movies after this? To the best of my knowledge, no, it's not. But will he do more movies after this? Yeah. Is that confirmed by anybody at the studios? No, but yeah, I would put a lot of stock in that. This is not going to be the last time we see Tom Holland, either as Spider-Man or the last time we see Tom Holland in a Spider-Man standalone movie. I think we will continue to see him as Spider-Man for a number of more years. But that is not, to answer your question though, is that confirmed? No, it's not confirmed. All right, what's next?
Who is Chris says, hey John, what will do more in the box office, Mario or Michael?
My guess is Michael. I think Mario is going to be big. I still question about it being $1 billion film. It very well, like, I'm not going to fall out of my seat in shock if Mario 2 is $1 billion film, but I'm kind of guessing it won't be, but who knows? Maybe it could. But Michael, to me, it's a foregone conclusion, $1 billion film. Foregone conclusion. So my guess is, and it's just a guess, I could be wrong about this, but my guess is, and by the way, a lot of that will depend on how good or bad each of the movies are. Like, that part we don't know yet. But all other things being equal, I'm going to guess that the Michael movie will make more. All right, what's next?
Barry Morgan with a $20 tip.
Ooh, thank you, man, for supporting us on that level, dude.
Brand New Day Theory, the person controlling the minds is actually Charles Xavier.
No chance in hell.
And the lattice quantum chromodynamic seen on the board behind Banner will be used in the creation of Cerebro.
This is not an X-Men movie. What I see a lot of, and I'm guilty of this too. I have been guilty of this as well. All film fans are from time to time. But what I see a lot of us doing sometimes is coming up with, especially when it comes to comic book movies, is way overcomplicating what a movie is going to be. This is not an X-Men movie. All right. We're not going to have Professor X and this and that. No. This is a Spider-Man movie. Yes, Jean Grey is in it. Yes, Hulk is in it. Yes, Punisher is in it, or at least Dr. Banner is in it. And yes, Punisher is in it. But you're introducing now theories that completely change what the movie is. And I mean, listen, I have not read the Spider-Man script. I don't know for 100% for sure, but to me, my guess would be no chance in hell. No chance. That way overcomplicates it, and it completely changes it from being a Spider-Man movie to basically an X-Men Origins movie. And I don't think, even though Jean Grey is there, I don't think that's what it's going to be. All right, what's next?
Luis with a $20 tip says, hey, John, if my math is right, Avatar 3 has made about $490 million profit.
It's made more than that, but that's okay.
I did your minus 33% and budget plus promotion. Reports say James is getting about $200 million in back-end profit participation. That's about $290 million in profit. Is that good or bad?
Anytime a movie makes $1 in profit, that's good. because that means everybody got paid and it still made more money on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So $1 is good. $1,000 is good. $1 million is great. $100 million is popping bottles.
Yeah.
So Avatar 3, probably its profit margin was probably closer, because there have been reports that Avatar 3 had a $400 million budget. From what I've been told, it was actually closer to 350, which is still like one of the most expensive films ever made in history. Had about $150 million marketing budget, which means about 500 million. You multiply that by 1.5, you're talking about a break-even point of about $750 million. I know you've seen other numbers thrown around out there. Ignore them. It means its break-even point was probably about 750 million. And what did it end up pulling at the box office? Like 1.4?
Yeah, I think it was like 1.4, 1.5.
Okay, so let's say 1.4. That means they made about 650 million in profit, which is not as much as the previous films made in profit. But is it good?
1.485.
Okay, so is it good? Yes, it's good. It's very, very. It made more profit. Think about this. Avatar: Fire and Ash. Regardless of any other narratives you want to talk about, Avatar: Fire and Ash made almost triple in profit what most big blockbusters have as their budget. You think about that. Most big blockbusters today have about a $200 million budget, right? This thing made triple in profit what most blockbusters cost to make. Is it as good as the profit margins in Avatar 1 or 2? No. But it's still over $600 million in profit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Of course it's good. It's great. All right, what's next?
Mitch says, getting this on a Sunday midday just to say that second weekend drop off for Project Hail Mary. F&A, bud. She's a giving her.
Tell you what, man, 32% on a movie that opened to over $80 million is very rare.
Yeah.
You'll see that sometimes with movies that opened more minimally or had like a $15 million opening and then maybe, had an $11 million second weekend. But for a movie to open to over $80 million to only have a 32% drop, extremely rare. It's happened, but it is extremely rare. And so, yeah, super thrilled for it. It couldn't happen to a better movie.
Who is Chris says, hey, John, I think people are downplaying on how much money Michael will make. I assume the global tracking will be insane near its release.
I don't think, most people I know are not underplaying how much money. I've been telling you this whole time, this is $1 billion film. And maybe there are still some people out there who don't get it and don't see it. This is going to be a big movie, guys. It's going to be huge. Now, do I have a crystal ball where I can see in the future and know this for a fact? No, maybe the movie sucks. If the movie sucks, which is Antoine Fuqua's directing it, I have a hard time believing it'll suck. But let's say if Michael sucks, that changes everything. Maybe it won't be all that big as word of mouth gets out about it. But all other things being equal, this is $1 billion film. And I think most people are kind of recognizing that right now. All right, what's next?
Tuning Out of Time says, if everything you've read from Doomsday comes to fruition exactly as you read it, had you the opportunity, would you also want the same experience for Secret Wars, or would you like to wait and see how it ends in a movie theater? Greetings.
If what you mean by that is, if Doomsday turns out the way we're hoping it will, would I like to then also find out in advance everything that happens in Secret Wars, or just be surprised by everything? I think I'd like to find out. I think I would. I wouldn't necessarily feel that way about every property,
Right.
but I'm in a position. And by the way, I know my own unique individual. What's true for me may not be true for you. I just know is that since finding out everything that happens in Doomsday, it has only made me more excited for the movie, ludicrously so. Like it maybe doubled my excitement for the movie, finding out about it. I know for some people it may diminish. If you found out everything that happens in a movie, it might diminish your excitement about it. I get it, but for me, In this particular situation, it's only amplified my excitement. So yeah, if I had a choice of finding out everything that happens in Secret Wars before it came out, and by the way, right now I know nothing that happens in Secret Wars other than what I can, take
Surmise.
from what's happened in the comics, I would probably choose if so and so and so and so gave me a call and said, "Hey, John, would you like to know what happens in Secret Wars?" I would say, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do." I'm not going to go out of my way to try to find out. I mean, I'm just as happy to go in blind, but yeah, if I had the choice, I'd probably want to find out again. All right, what's next?
The Daily Prophet says, "Hey John, how is it that Netflix can make a live action TV show of Scooby-Doo that's coming out in the near future when the IP is owned by Warner Brothers? It would be cool to have the Scooby-Doo series on HBO Max."
HBO has no interest in having Scooby-Doo. They have no interest in that. And by the way, this is not unusual. A lot of times, a major studio will make something that then somebody else releases. An example of this is not an apples to apples comparison, but if I'm not mistaken, and maybe you can fact check me on this, Jonathan, one of my favorite shows of the last bunch of years was Lucifer. I loved that show. Tom, I forget the name of the actor who played Lucifer in it, but I thought he was great in it. Anyway, so Lucifer I thought was fantastic. I was always entertained by that show. Tom Ellis, thank you. X-Men Superfan put that in there. Tom Ellis. And it originally aired on Fox. Now, eventually it left Fox and went over to Netflix for its final couple of seasons, but it aired on Fox, right? But did you know that Lucifer was not a Fox production? I believe, and again, Jonathan, you can double check me on this, I believe Lucifer was a Warner Brothers Television Studios production. I believe. I just remember it wasn't a Fox, like Fox didn't produce the show, but they're the ones who aired it, right? And that is not completely...
Jerry Bruckheimer Television, DC Entertainment, and Warner Brothers Television.
There we go. So it was a Warner Brothers Television production. And that is actually not as uncommon as you might think. Now, it doesn't often happen with big theatrical releases, but in the terms of television or streaming, it is quite often, Sony Television produces something and then it goes on to Netflix, or Warner Brothers Television produces something and it goes on to CBS, or a CBS television production and it airs on Fox. It's actually not a completely, because sometimes, the production, because remember, we're talking about two different branches of the same tree. Just because Warner Brothers Television makes something does not necessarily mean that they want to air it. And maybe the television production makes more money than they think on another network buying the rights than airing it on their own broadcast. So it's not terribly unusual. All right, what's next?
All right, the Daily Prophet says, "Hey John, the new Harry Potter series is going to do something the movies couldn't do, and that's make you a Potterhead. Just by watching the teaser, I can honestly say I'm more excited than this TV show than Doomsday. Get ready for primetime TV."
I'll tell you what. Yeah. So like I said, I'm somebody who likes Harry Potter well enough. There's a couple of the movies that I'm not super thrilled with, but there's a couple of them that I really enjoy as well. But it's never been enough to make me like, oh, I'm such a big Harry Potter fan. Although I enjoy the movies. I like them. But I'll tell you what, man, you might be right. Because one of the things I said about this Harry Potter trailer, and I mean this very sincerely, is that had I take the Harry Potter thing out of it, let's just say we lived in a world right now where there was no Harry Potter, okay? Now, this trailer comes out for this new HBO series, this new Harry Potter thing. And I just watched that trailer with no other Harry Potter background. I would still be ludicrously excited about this show. I see that, and I just think this looks like it fits right in with the highest of high quality HBO prestige television. This looks epic and next level. So you even take the Harry Potter out of it, and it looks like one of the things that I'd be most excited about to watch on TV this year. So could this series turn me into a Potterhead? It's a tall order, but maybe. because it looks really damn good, and I'm way more excited about it than I thought I would be. So it's got a chance. All right, what's next?
Mike Lovin says AMC theater start times are just a joke now. Start time listed at 12:30. At 12:36, the pre-show is still running. The 25 to 30 minutes of trailers hadn't even started. But that to me sounds like a technical error if there was still a pre-show before it started.
Yeah, or they could consider part of the pre-show as a part of the presentation. Again, I won't go off on my whole diatribe. You guys have heard me say it enough. But what AMC Theaters does, and I know they're not the only one, but what AMC Theaters does, I hold them more accountable because they're my favorite theater, so I hold them more accountable, is absolutely disgusting. Because it is nothing short of disdain and disrespect you have for your paying audience when you steal their time that way. It's disgusting. And I don't care if I run into Adam Aaron face to face or anybody, by the way, anybody who works at AMC Theaters, you're going to see me at CinemaCon. Any of you want to have a discussion about this with me, feel free. I will tell you straight up. As my favorite movie theater chain, I will tell you straight up, the way you treat your audience when it comes to this trailer running thing and how long your pre-show is and all that kind of stuff is disgusting and disrespectful. And you got to stop this bullshit. Anyway. All right, what's next?
We got Raymond Verado says, I saw this on Instagram. If you're Catholic, you know, on Project Hail Mary, it is full of grace. Advance Happy Easter.
I never even thought of that.
I'm wondering, though, if the author that's kind of put that together and that's where he came up with grace.
Riley, maybe. And by the way, it doesn't need end. Dude, I'm Italian. You don't think I grew up in Catholicism? You don't think I went to St. Daniel's Elementary School and then on to St. Jean de Brebeuf Catholic High School? You don't think I was baptized in confirmation and all that bit? Oh, I know. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now at the hour of our death. Amen. Oh, I know all the rosary. I've spoken many rosaries, but I never put that together. Project Hail Mary, and
Full
the
of
lead
grace.
character is Grace. So Hail Mary, full of grace. I didn't even, that's very clever. I like that. I didn't even think of that before.
And Rocky was Catholic, so there you go.
And Rocky was Catholic. There you go.
Hey. Sean says, hey, John, have you ever read a script and loved the writing, but then watched the movie and felt disappointed with how it turned out?
Oh, the Sam Worthington Clash of the Titans.
Yeah. And I was going to say also, oh my gosh, the Marvel series.
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion.
Yep. Yeah, I really liked the Secret Invasion script. Really liked it. It read really well. And sure enough, that was, and I didn't read every episode, but sure enough, that was it. But it played there's such a gap. See, a lot of people think wrongly that whether or not a movie's good all depends on the script. Not true. Not true. Because I have read great scripts. But having a great script is a great starting point. But you still have to get an incredibly skilled filmmaker to step in, take that script, and actually bring it to life. It's not an easy thing. And by the way, I've read some mediocre scripts that in the hands of a great director turned out to be a really good movie. Now, of course, is script foundationally important? Absolutely it is. I'm not saying it isn't. But just to everybody who thinks that it's all just about the script, that's it. The movie's only going to be as good as the script is, not necessarily true. And Secret Invasion, Clash of the Titans are all kind of proofs of that. So yeah, it happens. It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
We got, Mashana's back says, hey, John, have you seen Ready or Not 2 yet?
Still haven't.
Yeah.
Planning on doing a double feature with that and They Will Kill You. Although Rob came in today and said he didn't like They Will Kill You. I've not heard. It's too bad because I want good things for Zazie Beetz. All right, what's next?
We got Apollo who says, hi, John, what happened to Armor Wars with Cheadle?
It's been an interesting, because originally Armor Wars was going to be a series. And then you remember a number of years ago, they announced that they changed it from being a series to being a movie. I think it has been canceled. I think under Bob Chapek, when they were in the create as much content as possible, as fast as possible. But once Bob Iger came back and gave Kevin Feige his authority back and overall instituted hey, everybody, let's pump the brakes and slow things down. We don't have to put out 12 pieces of content a year. I don't know for 100% for certain, but I believe the Armor Wars project got scrapped. I believe it got scrapped. Now, could it still happen at some point? Yes, but I do believe it got scrapped. All right, what's next?
CR says, how much of Dune keeping its release date has to do with Warner Brothers being sold? Easier to go for Barbenheimer repeat when someone else might take the losses.
Nothing to do with it at all.
At all.
It got its date. It secured the IMAX release exclusivity. Has nothing to do with it. If this sale to Paramount does not go through, and by the way, there's still a chance it doesn't go through. If it doesn't go through, they're keeping that date. If it does go through, they're keeping that date because they've got the exclusive 3-week IMAX window. You don't give that up. Not in Christmas season. You don't give that up. So that's why I said weeks ago that there is no chance in hell Dune 3 moves. No chance Dune 3 moves. Not with that IMAX contract.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's next?
Rich reviews. So later this year, I turned 40, and I was wondering which is harder, turning 40 or in your case, turning 50, now being 54.
None. The hard one for me, personally, and maybe you experienced this or you didn't. The hard birthday for me was 20. I never had any sort of existential crisis on any birthday except for 20. Because when I turned 20, guess what? 20 is not a teen. It really shook me that I was no longer a teenager.
Right.
And I guess a lot of teenagers don't think about that at the time. But for me, it was like, I'm not a teenager anymore. And that was a hard one for me. Everyone other after that, it's just been another birthday. But turning 20 was a tough one.
20 is just
really tough
such a waste in the States because it's like, you're not a teenager, like you just said, but you still can't go out to a bar, but you're 20. It's like
in
you
Canada,
can't
you could.
Yeah, I know. But that's what I say in the
Canada, our
States.
age was 19.
Yeah.
But I didn't go because I don't drink. Yeah. Anyway. All right, what's next?
CR. Hey, John. Yeah. Hey, John, do you know how box office tracking sites people get the official numbers? Is it shared publicly somewhere?
It's mainly, I put out a video on this a couple of years ago called Understanding Box Office and Breaking Even Points and all that kind of stuff. It's basically, there is a third-party independent organization known as Rentrax that gathers all the official data. Now, studios will put out their estimated numbers and things like that and after, but basically all of it flows through this third party called Rentrax. And that's where it all kind of gets funneled from. But Rentrax does not publicly put out their information. There's no Rentrax website that lists all the box office results. That's for things like Box Office Pro, Box Office Mojo. They have those. They're the ones who are able to gather the information. The studios get them as well. So the best place to go and get your box office information, my personal go-to place to get box office info is Box Office Mojo. That's always the most accurate, up to date, and they get their information right from Rentrax. All right, what's next?
We got Jeff, who says, been watching Fincher's films again recently. Man, I love his work. Curious what you think are his 3 best.
Oh, I never do get top 3, whatever, off the top of my head. Like if I can sit down and think about it, I can do a video about it. But I don't know. It's just when you look over his career, and here's the interesting thing about him too. He's done film and television, and like unlike Tarantino. And anybody who watches my show, you know how much I love Quentin Tarantino. But my one knock on Tarantino is that every Tarantino film feels distinctly like a Tarantino film, right? All of his films kind of fall in the same sandbox. Whereas Fincher, some of his films are like that, but he also does things that have fallen like way outside of that as well. And so that's one of the things that I really appreciate about him as a filmmaker a lot. All right, what's next?
We got Screen Speak. Saw Project Hail Mary twice in IMAX and no Dune 3 trailer, but they showed the new Sheep movie trailer. Very bizarre. They showed it in mine.
Why is that bizarre? They show like 7, 8 trailers. Why is it bizarre that they showed the Sheep Detective trailer?
But didn't show Well, I guess because he's saying, but they didn't show what.
Yeah, but other IMAX screens did. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, whenever you go into a theater, unless there is a specific promotion happening, like on every version of this, you're going to see this trailer, you never really know which trailers you're going to get. Because listen, we no longer live in the era. Like it used to be back in the 80s and even for a part of the 90s, that's where you saw trailers, right? And so what trailers were playing in front of which movies was very key and important, but none of that matters anymore in the age of YouTube. Like people go and watch trailers on YouTube. So it doesn't really matter. The only thing that really mattered was getting the Odyssey prelude, that 5, 6, 7 minute prelude. Now that they did do on 70 millimeter IMAX screens. But I don't know if that was just going to be for the first week or the first 2 weeks. But yeah, you can never count on, other than those special sort of things, you can never count on seeing a certain trailer in front of a certain movie at any given time. All right, what's next?
We got Jeff who says, villainizing Superman's Kryptonian parents was my least favorite thing in the Superman movie. It seemed excessive way to make Cal to Clark journey, or the Cal to Clark journey, like killing a house spider by burning down the house.
Why? Why? Since when did Clark's parents become a sacred cow? I could list to you the 20 most important elements of Superman, and who and what his parents are isn't going to appear in the top 20.
Mm.
They've always had an extremely minor, small role in the comics. There have been certain storylines where they appear. But if you were to add up, I would put money on this. If you were to add up every single comic book page of Superman comics from the beginning of Action Comics, and then you add it up out of all those pages, how many pages Clark's parents, his Kryptonian parents, are on, I would bet cash money that it's less than 1%. Less than 1%. So why are they a sacred cow? You know, people will often criticize filmmakers about whenever they do an adaptation. It's like, you didn't change anything. Like, what's the point? What was the point of the movie if you didn't even put your own unique voice to it? Or if you didn't do this, if it's just the same. I saw some people saying that about the Harry Potter trailer. It just looks just like the movie. It does not look like the movies, but you didn't change it enough to give it. So to me, there are much more bigger sacred cows when it comes to Superman. Like, remember, the one producer wanted Kevin Smith to make it so Superman doesn't fly.
Oh yeah.
Or no cape. Remember that?
Uh-huh.
They said no cape. Capes are bullshit. No cape. No cape on Superman?
What is this? The Incredibles?
Yeah,
capes.
no capes. No capes. So I saw some people get their little panties in a twist over the fact that James Gunn did this something different from the original source material. And it turns out that Cal's parents, who love him deeply, but they were more of a mindset of conquest. I'm like, it's such a minor thing in the story. Like I said, I guarantee it might even be less than half of 1% that they're in any of the comics. Yet that was a sacred cow to people. Again, to me, there's like 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 other things that I think would be far more important that be a part of Superman's heritage and legacy than the moral makeup of his parents. It is a change of direction from the source material, but you want to change some direction. And I'd much rather them change that direction than something that actually mattered.
And it fit the story because Lex took advantage of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was just
it became part of the narrative.
Exactly.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't think we are 100%. James Gunn said this. To be very, very clear about the words you use, I don't think there is no possibility that we may find out somewhere down the line that things aren't as they appeared in the movie. Again, I'm not saying they will, but I think there's a less than 0% chance or a greater than 0% chance that we'll find out later on but even if they don't, okay, that put an interesting new wrinkle in the thing of Superman, but it's such a minor, unimportant thing that I honestly don't know why people get upset by it. Anyway, that's just me. All right, what's next?
Fabio says, "Hi, John. Greetings, my friend. Have you had the chance to watch the second season of One Piece yet? Curious on your opinion."
No, I'm not going to watch the second season of One Piece until my wife gets a chance to watch season 1, because I've already seen season 1 and I really loved it. But I'm committed to watching season 2 with Anne, and I'm not going to be able to do that until she So you know what? I get asked this a lot, guys. You might as well don't ask me that anymore. I will let you know when I've seen One Piece season 2, because we might still be several months away before my wife gets a chance to catch up on season 1. All right, what's next?
Calvin says, "Hey, John, I haven't been here for a while, so I'm sorry if you already spoke about it, but I'm curious, how do you think a clash would go if Harry Potter and Percy Jackson ended up releasing together?" I just think it's a lot of good TV for people. They'll watch both.
I don't understand the question. How do I think the clash would go?
Yeah, I think he just means in terms of like people like having to choose between watching the two, but I think
then Harry Potter by 10 miles. Yeah. Percy Jackson's great. I really like Percy Jackson, but you can't compare the popularity of the Percy Jackson franchise to the Harry Potter franchise. Like, they're both big, but I mean, come on, let's be serious here. So yeah, it would clearly go the way of the Harry Potter series. All right, what's next?
Timothy says, "Hey, John, I know I'm the only one interested in Eagles, the band biopic, despite being in my mid-20s. Truly love this band, and I know it will never happen. What are your thoughts?"
I don't care. I generally don't really care about musical biopics. No, I say that, but then like I really like Bohemian Rhapsody and I really liked Rocket Man.
No, I mean, you can enjoy it. It doesn't mean you're excited for it.
I don't get excited about, look, I think there are much more important, much more influential people who made much bigger differences in the world than musicians. And I say this as somebody who was an aspiring musician and thought about trying to become a rock star. But there's other groups of people who have done way more and better for the world than musicians. So I don't really care. Now, if there is a really interesting background that would on its own, taking away from the fact that they became a famous musician, if there's a really interesting story there to tell, you've got my attention. I don't know the story of the Eagles. Obviously, they made some classic music, but I don't really care. But if there was a really super interesting that would make its own great movie by itself, even if you take out the fact that they were musicians. For example, one of the reasons I am excited about Michael is because that dude's life from childhood to adulthood, that's crazy. And it was a very unique human experience that he had. So I'm actually quite interested in the Michael biopic because of that, but I just don't know anything about the Eagles. So my starting thing is, I don't care how good your music is. I'm not interested in a biopic about you unless there is truly a fascinating movie-worthy story to be told there. But that's just me.
If you have not seen it and you have Netflix, it's called History of the Eagles Part 1. It's one of the best music documentaries I've ever seen.
Ooh.
So check it out. I don't know why it's called History of the Eagles, because their band is called Eagles, not the, but it's History of the Eagles Part 1.
You know what? I've always thought it was the Eagles.
There's no the, just Eagles.
I didn't know that. I learn something new every day.
But yeah, check that out on Netflix. It is a great documentary.
All right. The Eagles play in Philadelphia.
Right.
All right, what's next?
Then we got X-Men Superfan. Do you expect Meryl Streep being an A-level performance to the Devil Wears Prada that might get nominated for big awards? I mean, how did she get? What did Devil Wear Prada? Did that get attention at the Oscars?
I don't know that it did.
Yeah.
Look, whenever you ask the question, could this upcoming movie get Oscar contention? The answer for every single movie is yes. Mario could get Oscar attention. We haven't seen it. We don't know. So yeah, it could. But look, it is literally the greatest actress of all time. So whenever she's in a movie, that just amplifies that even more. So could she get Oscar attention for Devil Wears Prada 2? Well, any actress can. And it's Meryl Streep, so she extra can. So I will say yes. I will say yes. All right, what's next?
We have Jackson who says, please, more Project Hail Mary box office talk. Yeah, he's been loving the tracking of the...
Yeah, I mean, when there's stuff to talk about, like there was today, we will talk about it for sure. All right, what's next?
We got Lily. Hi, John. Hope all is well. Here's a versus for you. Battle of Pelennor Fields versus Avengers Assemble in Endgame. Oh, I'll still take Pelennor Fields.
Pelennor Fields. Yeah, man.
I love Endgame, but man.
I didn't think anything would top the Battle of Helm's Deep. I didn't think anything would top it.
Yeah.
The Battle of Helm's Deep is just, it was one of the greatest one of the greatest spectacles I had ever seen on a movie screen at that point, by the time that came out.
Man. When that rain starts and the lightning lights their faces on the wall.
Yep. And you could hear the thundering footsteps of the Uruk-hai and the orcs coming. And then the elves show up. And I just didn't think anything would ever top that. But I think it's been topped a couple of times since then. So anyway. All right, what's next?
Lily says, hi, John. Hope all is... Oh, no, we did it. X-Men says, what female X-Men would you like to see part of the roster? There's a long-running joke that they have the coolest powers and tend to be a presence. I mean, Storm,
look,
maybe?
I think out of the two that you would have to say are the most important are Jean Grey and Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's right up there. So let's put those two aside. Okay, let's put those aside.
I've always liked Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde is hugely important in the comics. I think for nostalgia of the old X-Men show, I think a lot of people would love to see a rendition of Jubilee. I get that too. But for me, the one I've been fascinated with for ages. Why am I freezing on what I think his name was Strife, who is the alternate version of Cable. But I have always loved, and speaking of Zazie Beetz, because she played this character in Deadpool, although it was a very different version.
Mm-hmm.
Domino.
Yeah.
I've always loved Domino.
She had a great presence in the comics, great cover art. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Psylocke is also great. They did a version of her already.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would love to see a more comic book, non-comedy, but Domino was always funny too. But I mean, I would love to see Domino. I don't think they're going to give us Domino, but I would love Domino.
And then I guess follows up that Marvel has a strong tradition of telepaths, Jean Grey, Charles Xavier, Emma Frost being the three most. Which telepaths would you like to see? I'd like to see them all.
I mean, Jean and Professor X are foregone
hand in hand, right?
They're foregone conclusions, right?
Yeah.
You don't have X-Men without Charles Xavier, and we already know Jean Grey is going to be there. Emma Frost has become more prominent in the last couple of decades. Now, of course, the one who I think has been more powerful than all of them, which I think, okay, I'm going to go on a limb here, okay? Nobody quote me on this. This is just me speculating. By the way, I've seen more damn outlets running headlines that James Gunn expected to leave the DCU, all because of that thing I said on the show.
I know.
Where they said, John Campea says he's leaving. I said, my guess is he's leaving. I was very clear to say, nobody's told me this. I've not talked to James Gunn, but I would say that he's probably going to be gone. And you got some outlets running headlines saying James Gunn is leaving, and they're quoting me when I clearly said this is me speculating. So let me be very clear. I'm speculating when it comes to this, okay? Because they've already done Apocalypse, which was not so good. Although they could do Apocalypse again because this is a new universe. I think in the next 5 to 7 years, I'm going to guess that once we get into the X-Men saga, we are going to get Onslaught. Now, for those of you who don't know anything about Onslaught, to make it, somebody in the live chat just said confirmed. To really boil it down, Onslaught is a character that comes into being with the combined essence of Magneto and Charles Xavier. And you get it looks like he's wearing a Magneto outfit. And so his telepathic ability was like off the charts. So I think, again, this is all because I don't see them doing the greatest X-Men story of all time, which to me is Age of Apocalypse. I don't see them doing that for a very long time, if ever, but it would be great if they did. And they've already kind of done Apocalypse. I honestly think they're going to look at doing Onslaught. Again, just guessing, but that would be an interesting one to do. All right, what's
Got
next?
the Fergus review. Could Toy Story 5 outgrow Zootopia 2? Yes.
Yes. Yes. Now, will it? That will all depend on how good Toy Story 5 is. If Toy Story 5 is as good as Toy Story 4, which I still thought was quite good, then maybe not. If it's as good as Toy Story 3, which I think is the best of the Toy Stories, then I think it can. So it will really all, I mean, Toy Story is going to be big, but whether or not it can outgrow Zootopia, that will all depend on how good it is. And so we'll have to see. And is that it?
Oh, no, we have a couple more.
Okay.
X-Men Super says, what opinion do you have of David Bowie as an actor? I think as a musician, he's a good actor.
Not high, to be honest with you. But that was fine. David Bowie was never
Right.
put in, like, whether it's Labyrinth or anything, because he was the best thespian to do it. It's because he's David Bowie.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, like, did I love seeing him pop up in things? Sure. Even Zoolander. But was he a great actor? No. That would be unfair to the universe if he could be that great of a musician and a really good actor. All right, what's next?
We got 5 more. Mega Red says, can you share plans for CinemaCon coverage this year? Your coverage gets better and better every year.
Plan is simple. The plan is really simple. I think our first video, we're going to go out to Vegas on the Sunday night. So I believe that's the 12th,
Yeah,
April 12th.
that's right.
So we're going to go out on the Sunday night. And I think we're going to do our first stream Sunday evening. From there, just talking about what we're expecting. You know, we're going to run down the schedule of CinemaCon. We're going to talk about what we're expecting, what we're hoping, all that kind of stuff. And then basically we're going to do a stream after each panel. So 1 on some days, 2 on, I think there's 2 days where there's 2 presentations. And so that's the plan. This year though, I often skip the parties because a lot of the parties happen right after the presentations, and we've always prioritized it to get back to the hotel room and do the stream.
Right.
But I think this year, especially for the earlier presentations, I think if like a presentation ends at like 4 in the afternoon, I think we're going to try to go and do more of the parties and then maybe do a stream at 6 or 7. But
Makes sense.
yeah, we were going to cover every single panel. All right. What's
Andrew
next?
says, Avengers should stay put. GTA 6 will be out on November 19th.
No,
Nah.
no. Again, it just doesn't, like, would I like it to stay put? Yes. Should they stay put? No. Now that December 11th is open with a week's worth of having IMAX screenings, there's just, I'm sorry, but there is no strategic thinking that says they should keep it on the 18th now. And they might keep it on the 18th. I just don't think there's any rational justification to do it now that the 11th is open and a week of IMAX screenings are there. Yeah, that's why, again, right now, officially, it's still on the 18th. I'm guessing they'll move it, and I think we're going to find that out at CinemaCon. All right, what's next?
Guzman says, whoever negotiated the IMAX exclusivity for Dune needs a raise. Dude really created a whole Mass Effect around it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because they used IMAX cameras specifically, that they were favored nations for them. So yeah.
Yeah,
All right, what's next?
Jackson says, please have 3C films for full episode, please.
Probably not. And not because I don't think Chris is great. I think he's great. And I do hope that I can figure out some time that I can bring him in for a little guest spot again. Because I think Chris is terrific. But I generally lean away from doing entire episodes with somebody being remoted in. Now, I do that on Fridays many times because I have no other choice.
It's out of necessity.
Yeah, that's out of necessity. Because just too many technical things can go wrong and all that kind of stuff. But I do hope to bring him in for when I figure out a way to have the time to do it, to have him and others like Sean Chandler and Christian and maybe even Dennis, from time to time drop in as guests. But the reason that's easier too is because, like, if I bring them in for a quick guest spot, I can record that at any time that's available for both of us. To bring them in for the live show means you have to have this period of time in the day free, whole hour. A lot of technical things can go wrong. It just makes it more difficult. So probably not for a full episode, but hopefully I'll get around to having him and other guys as well come in and do quick little guest spots on the show.
Here's our last one. Tim Hoffman. Hi, John. I'll be in LA soon. What's your go-to order at Smokehouse? Where's your favorite mozzarella sour cream spot?
My current favorite mozzarella with mozzarella sticks with sour cream spot is a sports bar not far from where we live called Penalties. And it's great. They have great food. But that's my current favorite mozzarella sticks with sour cream. Smokehouse. First of all, you got to get the bread.
Yeah.
You got to get the bread. The bread is legendary. It's their prime rib.
It's hard to beat that prime rib, and that
their
was always
prime rib is so
and
good.
get the smokehouse cut.
Yes.
As a secondary, what I do now, because I ate it and started falling in love with it, was their pork chop dinner. It's the double thickness pork chop with stuffing. It's almost like a Thanksgiving meal, but it's so good. But yeah, but you can't go wrong with the prime rib.
It's funny how many Hollywood power meetings take place there, because the last time Ann and I went was about a month or two ago. I think we went to Smokehouse that's in Burbank, owned by George Clooney, by the way, and is in La La Land. Actually, it's in a lot of movies, but the whole jazz club where she goes in, that's Smokehouse.
That's the bar
area. Yeah. So the moment you walk into the place, you'll recognize it.
And it's directly across the street from Warner Brothers. Like the wall across the street is Warner Brothers.
Right across the street. And also when you walk in there for the first time, you'll think about probably 8 or 9 TV shows and movies you've seen it in. But like when Ann and I were there last, we were sitting there literally having dinner, and there's this little wall between us and the next row. And there were these 3 guys talking heavily about a movie project. And they're like, okay, so if we can get Scarlett, they were talking about Scarlett, if we can get Scarlett to come in on Thursday, she would be expecting this, and this. And it's like, yeah, but for that role. And they were like literally casting the movie as these guys are sitting there. It's like, I wonder how many other people. Oh, and we saw this famous actor, for privacy's sake, I won't say which one. We saw this famous actor sitting in this other booth right across from us.
Yeah. It happens a lot.
If you go to Smokehouse, you are more than likely to bump into somebody, but most importantly, the food is incredible.
Yeah.
At Smokehouse. Love that place. All right. Was that it?
That was it.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number 1, because it gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved at the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Of course, big thanks to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett, our technical director, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.